Tonight we're talking about moving in with a girlfriend. Never covered this before. I've kind of alluded to this from time to time in different shows, just sort of chopping up the idea, right? At the end of the day, look, I've lived with two chicks in my life. Okay, I did it in my 20s. 20s was how do I break it down? It was dumb. Okay, it was the conventional. She didn't have a car. I had to drive to her. It was inconvenient. I was kind of poor at the time. I don't know if I was poor, but I didn't have bucks deluxe. Let's just put it that way. I don't know. How old was I? 24? I think 24-ish, maybe 25. I don't know. Let's just call it mid-20s. And, it's those four words that I always use. Complicate life, justify why. That's what guys do, right? Oh, I don't feel like driving to her. She lives 20 minutes away. It'd be probably better if we lived together. We could split the costs, more access to intimacy, companionship, blah, 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 right? Complicate life, justify why. I was presented with the idea of what's the point. I was doing some mentoring. I was the mentee, for a change. I like to put myself in that position from time to time. And I was talking about something. He was asking me some leading questions, and he was like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of this? Like, what is the point? And it's like, what is the point? Why don't we ask ourselves these questions more often? What is the point? Like, why are we doing this? What is the point of this? Where is this going? Where is this going to take me? Is it aligned with my goals? I think more importantly, does it allow me to become my best self, my mental point of origin? Is this aligned with the lifestyle that an unplugged alpha would live, right? Anyway, back to the 24-year-old dork that I was, about 24-ish. So moving the girl, stupid move. She had a crazy ex-boyfriend kind of tracking her in tow. And pretty much everything that a lot of guys complain about. I went through a kind of a funny experiment. I posed the question, and I try to pose these questions to solicit balanced feedback, because if you don't balance your questioning, you're going to get, if you're like, hey guys, why does it suck living with women? You're going to get a lot of negative feedback. So the question I posed on my two YouTube channels on Facebook and on Twitter, which delivered over 450 comments. Some of them were quite thought-provoking. Men, for those of you that are living with a girlfriend or have done so in the past, what were the pros and cons? Okay. The vast majority of guys had pros and cons listed. There was probably two, if I recall, that said it was all upside and they would definitely do it again. But the vast majority said that there was too many downsides for them to entertain it again. So I'm going to be getting into some of those downsides with you. Some of them I experienced myself. Again, the first time was in my 20s. Second time was when I got married. I was married for 4 years. About 4 years. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a separation period, but living in the same house for 4 years, that shouldn't really count because like the last, like the separation period, the untying the knot period, it's just a fucking nightmare. So it's not even worth commenting on that because that's kind of a skewed opinion. But a lot of the stuff that happened also happened, in my 20s, and you're going to get some of the feedback here in the comments. I'm going to just throw them up on the screen so you guys can follow along with me. I'm going to be taking some call-ins tonight. So if you guys want to ask some questions or chime in with your experience, I'll post a link there later on the live chat and on the YouTube channel. Right here, Mr. Envy, done it 3 times, learned, but not wrecked. Again, what's the point? Like, why am I doing this? I think that if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, like to try to save a couple bucks, I mean, really, make more money. Take on a cool roommate, like a dude, a friend, your brother. I've lived with friends. I've lived with both of my brothers, in fact. Live with 2 chicks, and I can tell you it's a lot more fun and freeing if you want to save money to take on a roommate that, it's a friend, or even, your brother in family. Moving a woman in to save a little bit of money or to have access to intimacy, which generally doesn't last over a long period of time, doesn't really work out. I had this conversation with my family lawyer. We get together, like, I don't know, once every year or so, grab some lunch, grab some dinner. He's a good guy, saved my hind. And I don't know, the second or third time we got together, I said to him something like, because he lives on one end of the city in Toronto, and he always seems to find women that live on the other end of the city, because he kind of works in the middle of the city, or more towards like one end of the city where the chicks are that he's dating. So he ends up sort of like commuting across the city back and forth because he's doing some work in the city and he's working from home. Then he, sort of dates, and he's like, I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm just going to be a lifelong bachelor. I'm not going to live with a chick. And I was asking him why, and he's like, there's no real upside to it. There's a lot of downside, a lot of legal consequences. There's actually four main things, if I can put it that way, that I can talk about, which are the main points. I'll get into those towards the end. I kind of want to go through some of the talking points that a lot of people dropped in the comments to sort of break it down for you. Let's go and start throwing some of these up here on the screen for us, shall we? Let's go present, share screen, window, and tabs. And by the way, if you want to like be able to chime in on stuff like this, definitely make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, because the community tab is where I sort of post some of these solicitation feedback polls. You might have a hard time reading it, especially if you're on a mobile, so I'll just read it out. So this guy Joe says, in my situation, pros were more intimate time, homemade meals, laundry done. By the way, I categorized all the pros and the cons, and the pros that popped up almost over and over again were sex, cooking, cleaning, and companionship. Those were the main ones. Beyond that, the guys with frame talked about a lot more, which I'm going to discuss when I get into my four main points. Homemade meals, laundry done, etc. Cons, more time spent watching TV. You're going to find that. You're going to spend a lot more time sitting around watching series and shows. It was her home, the power dynamic. Now, look, you never want to move into a chick's house. If you're going to do it, look, the unplugged alpha would not move into a chick's house. Okay, that's what a plugged in beta would do. You move into her space. She has the frame. She controls everything. She's going to set certain terms and conditions of that living arrangement, because it's her house. Like, why wouldn't she? She's a boss girl, strong, independent woman. They've been told for decades now, you're strong, you're independent. You don't need no man. You need a man like a fish needs a bicycle. So if you think that you're going to move into her house and you're going to have some degree of autonomy or say and stuff, it generally speaking doesn't work out that way, especially with all the feedback that I looked through here on these 450 comment posts. Was it her, which he says was a no-no, at the end of it. So at least he's honest about that. Not enough time apart, so things get on people's nerves, and expected to help with projects like you're married. Yeah, I mean, look, you move into her house, you will be expected to take on her projects for sure, 100%. Also, the ability to keep tabs on me. So my infatuation with hobbies were scrutinized constantly. That was another thing that popped up a lot, is guys felt like they lose the ability to maintain their interests and their hobbies, because women today are told, again, strong, independent. So they inadvertently try to run a guy, which is kind of part of the shit testing system. And again, it's going to tie into the 4 points that I want to make abundantly clear on this, and why it's such a bad idea, generally speaking. Like, again, it all boils down to, like, what's the point? Like, why are you doing this? Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that short clip. If you did, consider supporting the creation of content by checking out my supplement line. Pinned in the top comment below of this video in the comments, there's a link to the unpluggedalpha.com/shop. When you click through, you'll be able to land over here, and the entire lineup is broken down by category that it performs best in: estrogen metabolism, fat burning, your foundational essentials for health, immune health, performance, and testosterone support. If you check out with coupon code ALPHA10, you'll get 10% off on your first order. There's also the option to use the subscribe and save model, where regular shipments will be sent over to you on a regular basis, and that gives you a little bit of a discount, and your supplement facts are always broken down over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, check out that link. It's pinned in the top comment below in this video. Peace out.